There's definitely a bit more anticipation now because it's become a bit more complex.
The juice makes you
And
sloppy.
I think now we need to bring in some power just to kind of
dummy site?
underline this moment.
What's wrong with it?
I'll have a car pick you up in the morning.
Did we get the money?
Yes, Ray. We got the money.
CineD, your digital cinema tech resource, supported by B&H and CVP.
This is CineD, my name is Nino, and today I'm on a call with Seb Yeager from Filmstro. How are you?
I'm good, Nino. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Just let's give a short introduction about what Filmstro is. So correct me if I'm wrong, but Filmstro, I would say, is a music library with a twist, with adjustable tracks that you can adjust exactly to your video needs, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you've got it. We're a music library like other music libraries, but we've just got this one kind of tech USP where, yeah, we kind of empower filmmakers to take our music and then customize it to fit their edit rather than having to chop their edit to fit a music track. So we kind of want to just work the other way around.
We have talked before. I'm going to link one of the more recent videos up here so you can watch it. We have looked at your relaunch of Filmstro as a web app about a year ago, I think. And today you have something new to show, actually. And we just thought it's a good idea to do this in video form again.
Great. Nice one. Yes. Yeah, we've basically relaunched, as you say, and thanks for covering that for us back in when I think it was March time. Yeah, so we made a few important changes. So we kind of spruced up the UI, but one big factor was taking all of the music into the web app directly so people can carry out their search and discoverability and the exploration of music directly inside the web app rather than having to look at, our sort of traditional music library pages, find a track and then take that piece of music into the app to customize. Now you can do kind of everything in one place. So you have basically, our kind of, I would say quite unique way of looking for music. You have to choose how you're comfortable looking for music. That's why we've kind of done it in this way. So a lot of people like searching by mood, for example. So if you choose mood, then you have all these different kind of mood filters here, and these are all albums full of music. But other people might be more comfortable searching, let's say, by video genre. So then we have all these kinds of things over here, and there's other ways to search, but that's the kind of basic idea.
That's great. I also think, like sometimes the most cumbersome part about looking for music is actually, just finding the right track. And I always look for moods, essentially. And that's, for me, the fastest way of finding something.
Yeah, I think you're right. It just depends, isn't it? Whether you're kind of very visual or maybe you're auditory person, so you already have an idea of what kind of sound you need in your film. So then you could maybe look for instrumental palette even. Or if you already have a good idea about music, then maybe music genre is the way to go. But yeah, I mean, should we look at a little edit then and I can just show you a couple of the new features and we can just do it in real time?
Yeah, perfect. I mean, first look, it looks very much slicker than it looked before, so that's quite nice. So please just go ahead and show us a little edit.
Excellent. Yeah, no, so thank you for the kind words. It was kind of, it was our first version, so I think this definitely kind of helps a little bit. So what I'm going to do before I do anything else, we're in the browse view. As you can see, we have kind of like a tab system up here, a little bit like kind of Frame.io or other kind of online platforms aimed at filmmakers. And the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to bring in an edit to work on. So we'll just use something as an example. So I'm going to bring this in. It loads up pretty quickly. And one note just to quickly say as well, this isn't putting your film into Filmstro as such. You're not uploading anything to our servers. This is just going into your browser, basically. So here's my edit.
So that means that I can also just use my master export of a 4K ProRes file and load it in there?
No, this is one thing that's a good question. Thank you. No, it's MP4 is what's supported at the moment.
Okay.
So yeah, you do need to make it an MP4 file, but we found that we can use some pretty big files actually. So yeah, I've worked with at least 500 meg and it's been fine. So let's have a little browse then. So let's go into video genre, for example, and I'm going to choose, I know already what this footage is. It's kind of like a little bit kind of psychological. So I'm going to go to the psychological thriller section. And what you'll notice as soon as I press play, you'll see the video actually play back immediately. So let's have a little go. And so And what's nice is every single time I click a track, not only can I just quickly hear the music and get a feel for, is this what I want, but I can actually see the video playback as well immediately, which I think is quite cool. We can then unmute it, and I'm actually going to also turn the music right down. And now when I play the next piece of music, we're going to get an even better kind of idea of what this sounds like. So let's just play the next track.
You saw it, right?
I saw it.
So yeah, what we're really happy about, and this is something we had in a previous product of ours, is that filmmakers can now basically not only browse the music in the library, but they can immediately get an idea of how will this piece of music complement their edit, basically.
That's great. I mean, it's very nice that, like usually you're just thinking about the video you want to put your music on, and then you just, download it and put it there and just play around with it. But seeing an instant preview of your film playing while you listen to the samples or the different tracks is quite useful, I think.
Good, excellent. All right, so I'd be lying if I said I'm going to do this completely on the fly. I did have a little play with this earlier with this particular edit. So I found this track here, Gotham it's called. I'm just going to play it here briefly, but then I'm going to bring it into the web app then, into the edit page, should I say. Let's have a quick listen here first. So you can see it's just restarted again, the video. So I'm liking the sound of that. So now I've got, I can click this little pencil icon, or I can just follow here this big CTA at the bottom and just click customize music. So I'm going to now say customize music, and that basically pulls this track Gotham that I've selected into, now you can see up here in the tab, we're now in the edit page, and we have a few choices here to get working. We can use the composer's mix, so that would load the music as we just heard it in the previous page, in the browse page. But because I want to do this from scratch for you, I want to just load up a blank template instead. So I'm going to click blank. Okay, so what I'll do, Nino, is I'll just do a first pass. I'm going to switch on this thing called latch mode, which means that any changes I make in the timeline are going to just basically be affected for the rest of the timeline, rather than just being very brief. And I'm going to just, dial in some stuff. I'll keep the music nice and loud so you can hear what I'm doing. So I'm just going to show you the difference between this and then bringing some depth in. So with the depth in, it's kind of darker, and it's kind of even more kind of foreboding and a little bit more threatening, versus, can you hear these kind of like high voices in there? But they're also kind of scary, but I think it's cool to bring in some lower stuff. So, and then I think when the narrative carries on a bit,
When their website came back. Well,
I want to just bring in some more momentum.
replicated to the last pixel. They didn't even realize all their drug money was going to us instead. I'm in. If you want me, it's not even the Cyber Avenger stuff, It's the juice.
Okay, so I'm quite liking that so far. I'm going to go to depth and just clean this up, because I just did this a couple of times for you. So I think what I want to do is I just want to basically delete this stuff here, so I can just clear that down. And then I want to just bring this in gradually. So I think I could just put in like a ramp. So what I've done now is, if we listen to this again, I've basically just made the depth come in. So it kind of goes from this scary kind of pad to bringing in some of this low information to make it kind of even more ominous. So let's have a listen to that, maybe even without the video sound, so you can just hear what's going on. So let's have a listen. So we have these voices to begin with. Now the depth comes in, and gradually over the period of these 3 initial areas here, those voices are going to drop into the background, and we're going to just have more of this kind of dark stuff. So by about now, we just got that low stuff. And then in a minute, you can see here, if I flick on the momentum, you can actually see what I did. And this is, again, what I'm very passionate about, is that visual filmmakers can now actually see, the momentum change there, right? Whereas if you look at a waveform in a static audio track inside of your NLE or Audacity or something, you don't really know what's going on, apart from, I guess, just some basic amplitude stuff.
Yeah, that's very cool. I mean, that's what makes Filmstro special. But I think the web app makes it a bit more approachable now, if I would say. I mean, it's of course people have to get used to, they have to export something from their NLE and then import it into the web app, but it's essentially the fact that you don't have to upload it actually makes the workflow quite easy. So you should be able to work with it as if that was a normal, local app.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I mean, there is some round tripping involved, as with any third-party application. And in future, we would like to offer an NLE plugin again. But yeah, for now, I think it's worth it, though, because you will get a soundtrack that is just closer to the picture. So with that in mind, then, let me just turn the music down now, bring the volume back on the video, and I'm just going to play this last little section here and just kind of finish off where I think this needs to go, and then we can have maybe even a separate video just to show the final video, maybe. So I'll just go from here.
Grateful when their website came back. Well,
so what's going to happen now is we're going to bring in some more momentum, which will make it a bit more exciting.
They didn't even realize all their drug money was going to us instead. I'm in. If you want me, it's not even the cyber Avenger stuff, It's the juice.
So it's definitely a bit more anticipation now because it's become a bit more complex.
The juice makes you
sloppy. And I think now we need to bring in some power just to kind of
dummy site?
Underline this moment.
What's wrong with it?
I'll have a car pick you up in the morning.
Did we get the money?
Yes, Ray. We got the money.
What's wrong with my site then? What's wrong with my site?
Nice. So I think what we've achieved there by just changing the power, and I love this one particular moment actually, where when the power comes in, it basically switches on more instruments and it makes the mix more intense. And the way that happened in this particular music definitely at that point also complemented the edit, I think, because there was kind of this question.
What's wrong with it?
There, I love that. So he's kind of like, what's wrong with it? And there's like a change in tone in terms of their dialogue. So like suddenly something's kind of a bit off. And we have this idea that something negative is maybe there, and then suddenly this music kind of goes, so yeah, and the fact that I can just do that basically on a frame by frame basis and just decide, okay, at this point in the narrative, even though it's just a very short kind of microcosm of a scene, there's definitely something that needs to change here just because of what one person said. So let's change it. And that's kind of quite freeing, I think, for a creative. It certainly is for me. And at the end, you notice when the film, it's only a very short scene, when it ended, the music was going to carry on. So I just bled out the overall volume. And that's, again, something we're going to automate in future so that anybody can just create their own fade outs in here rather than having to do that in an NLE. You could just do that here. And we've got other really cool features planned. Yeah, so speaking of features, one of the things we're also going to talk about is the fact that you can switch off certain sounds. So as I was just saying about this kind of, da-dum sound, if you like it, great. But let's say you just like the intensity of this piece of music going up at that point in the edit. But let's say you didn't like that particular sound. Well, you can actually switch it off. So you go over to here where you can then choose which sounds to include in the music export. And now we can basically audition individual sounds as we listen to the track. So I'm just going to click this area here. Actually, I'll click this one here, so it's really obvious for you guys. And let's make sure this is muted as well, Nino. Okay, so if I play this piece of music from here, this is all of the music, but listen to this now. So we can hear just the strings here, or maybe we want to listen to this bit. So that's just the low thing, or this one. And the one we want to silence, for example, is maybe this one. Yeah? So that was that sound I thought worked really, really well. And because you could hear it really obviously, I thought that would be a good example. So now if I now uncheck it here, if I now play this section again, it's gone, right? But we still get all that cool stuff. I'll just do that one more time. And I'll put it back on, see if you can tell the difference. Yeah?
So that's cool. So now you can really dive into the guts of the music, if you will, and kind of switch on and off some of the elements, because so far you were kind of stuck with what was included with momentum, power, depth, right? But now you can modify those components that make them up.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, there's already flexibility built in, I guess, to every Filmstro track in the sense that by changing momentum, you're obviously bleeding in different instruments. By changing depth, you're bleeding in different kind of instruments, or changing the way those instruments are performed, or, and the power particularly, you're definitely changing the size of the ensemble and the intensity in which those instruments are performed. But you're absolutely right. So if there are particular sounds you don't want, then yeah, you're no longer stuck with even the original arrangement that the composer gave us and we've worked with in Filmstro. You can then actually just go, do you know what? I want to customize this even more. Or maybe even, you can do it the other way around. Instead of removing one sound, you can actually kind of flip it and do the inverse and go, do you know what? For this section here, it'd be great if I could just have two sounds that I like, the drums and, some scary voices.
And can I switch it back on again at a later point during the track?
Not in a dynamic way. So in other words, you're choosing to either include that sound in the rendered file, in the export, or exclude it. So at the moment, there's no facility to say, oh, I like these scary voices for the first half of the music and I want to switch them off for the second half. So that's not a thing yet, but it's technically feasible. So if that was something that enough users ask for, then that's doable. We just have to figure out, a sensible UI, obviously, and just a way to do that.
Well, I guess it'd be very useful to, be able to do that with keyframes, because then you have complete flexibility over the track.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm glad you mentioned keyframes. Actually, a few people might be, leaving comments, as often I've seen before, where, they'll say that they liked one of our older products, their legacy product for desktop. And one of the things that was different in there is that, as you can see here, we basically work in these kind of what I would call blocks. So, you select one or a number of blocks, and then you can very, very quickly make changes, by just doing this, for example. Or as you saw me do just now, you can work in real time, and that's what the legacy app used to do. But one thing the legacy app did rather well was you could add little nodes individually into the timeline, and then you could kind of move things around. And that's definitely something we're going to be bringing back as well, because, it's definitely popular and people are demanding to have it again.
Great. So when is the new version that you just showed me online? When can people use it?
This is available now. Yep. So this is all ready to go.
Awesome. We also gonna include links below the video and in this article, so people can check out Filmstro and try it out.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Seb. That's a really cool update. I think it's come a long way since you launched a web app about a year ago. And we're very curious to speak to you again when there's more updates, I guess.
Excellent. Thank you for having me. Cheers, Nino.
Thanks everybody for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.